This is the Team Objection Podcast for July 26th, 2022, episode 538. And for the first time in what feels like a while, the OG crew is here. There's no plan on the side because it's kind of more of an open-ended episode, but everything should be working. There should be audio. Dave is here. Everything's great.
Does that mean that it's working because I'm here?
No.
Or okay.
No, and it was your fault that we weren't a full crew, too, exclusively.
What?
Yeah.
Well, how? How do you figure?
Because you weren't here.
But I warned everyone that I wouldn't be here.
It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter.
Like, you just randomly don't show up, and it's just like, oh shit, Sean's not here this week.
That's not true.
Like,
mine was planned too.
Hey guys, I'm going to be gone exactly 6 weeks from now, so please, I'm sorry that I'll have to miss, but I will not be here 6 weeks from now. That's usually how much notice I give.
I just question your commitment. That's all.
Of course. One time in, this year.
Well, we established that you're not an OG member anymore because you left and came back. Yeah. It's like if you get into a fitness gym and you're on you get in on the ground floor and you get that discount. If you leave and you come back, you don't get that discount anymore.
That's bullshit.
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
I know. It sucks. Take it up with HR.
All right, Chris, I have something to take up with you.
All right.
I guess Chris would be the HR department.
He's kind of president, CEO, HR, treasurer.
Wait, what am I then?
IT.
I get to be like one thing.
What?
I don't. Something. One thing. Anything.
My point is you don't.
Oh.
Actually.
Okay.
My complaint is that I'm an OG crew. I was in episode 1. Boom. OG.
It does feel like you can. We talked about when you were gone about how you can sort of trace it back before that to the other radio show and stuff. But it's like, yeah, I mean, if you were there for episode 1 and we're 538 deep, it's probably quibbling. It's not really hipster status to be like, well, I was there on episode -5. Like,
yeah. But you were on for 2 years of the show.
It wasn't 2 years. It was like a year, and amongst children and other family events happening during that time, I think I had a good reason.
Children, I get a reason. That was your choice.
Still happened.
Well, anyways,
we have
a great show planned. We'll resolve this later.
Well,
I have some beef with you anyway. We'll get to it eventually. Oh yeah, you were gonna retort. You just punched.
No, I had something I was gonna say that I was actually, we're talking about video games. That was the idea of today's show, and I feel a little bit proud of myself that I feel like I've played more video games since I've had a third kid because I figured how to balance life a little bit better. So I felt proud of myself.
Yeah, I mean, you play like 3 a year now instead of
none,
like
basically.
One,
so
or none.
Yeah. Great. I think I've done a very good job. I mean, the fact that I beat Persona 5 after my third kid was born, I thought I was pretty proud of.
Yeah, because that's like, I mean, how many times could you beat Stray in that span? 20?
Yeah.
So that counts a little more.
You could have fit like 4 medium games in there, but instead you went for 1 super long one. That's
that counts for 4. That's the point.
That's like 12 Halo campaigns.
Eventually, when I do my catalog, Dave, I am going to average out like how many hours each game took. Because if you do like a bunch of like Castlevanias, you say like I beat 8 games this weekend, but like each one's an hour, so it's not the same. You got to see how many hours you're averaging.
And when some of the games you like playing are like when Chris likes playing Rocket League or I like playing Tetris 99, it's like you don't beat those.
Yeah, but I still consider. So I did. I'm doing the Gwent Witcher roguelike game, and I did like a bunch of runs, and I'm like, I think I'm at a good place to at least pause for now. So I put that down. Played it for like 25 hours. I got a bunch of runs in. I'm putting it across the obelisk same way. So with like Tetris, when you've played it like a bunch and you have a lot of hours cataloged and you're like, I think I'm good for a while, then you can put it down. I'll let you count Tetris this year.
So I can count Tetris. The only thing I haven't done in Tetris 99 is beat the Tetris Invictus. I've gotten second place 3 times and I want to throw my controller through the screen every single time I get second. It sucks.
Yeah, I mean, so if you take a break like that, that counts.
Yeah, well, then I've beaten that game multiple times.
Okay, well, there you go. See? So if I can share my cataloging addiction, then I consider it a successful day.
Okay. I agree with Mike Schaefer. The third kid being the bonus ball. And the funny part is the third kid bounces around as much as the bonus ball. So it's great. Good analogy. I like it.
Bonus ball is one of the best things about pinball. There's nothing quite like when like 4 or 5 balls come flooding down the board and you're just like frantically hitting the flippers because.
Well, and the lights are going, the music's playing, it's everywhere. I love it.
It's sensory overload, but it's the same thing as like some dumb slot machines or whatever, where it's like, yeah, this is what I want.
I was trying to find a tactful way to talk about throwing your kid around, but I couldn't.
Speaking of throwing something around, I will give a quick update just for people who have followed along on this particular show, because this is sort of about our lives and whatnot. I did qualify for the National Amateur Disc Golf Tour finale in Texas in October. So assuming I can figure out how to get there and make it all work and also have the time off, which is not just an assumption that's guaranteed, I should be going to the national event in a couple of months just to see how it goes.
Like, that's as far as amateurs goes. Is there a bigger stage for you?
The Worlds, Dave.
Technically, there is a amateur world championship because this is just the North American tour. But no, not really, because that one I would never have qualified for. That's more point based, so it's really all about going to a lot of events and accruing points. Obviously, high finishes would help if you could get just a few, but this was the first tournament I've even traveled for to qualify for this one, so that was never going to happen. I would never have accrued enough points. I just don't have the time. Cool.
What's your Rocky montage going to be? Do you have one planned for really getting ready?
Yeah, I mean, I have so Doug got me this thing where it's like a disc that you can hold that attaches to stuff like a tree or a door or something. So you can pull on it and stretch it. So I have one exercise for the montage. I don't know what the other ones are, but I'm sure I can come up with something.
I thought it was you throw it and it comes back. I was I don't know if that's going to help you very much. I think Doug's heart was in the right place, but
yeah. What's your training montage music?
I never really thought about it. That's there's different songs you'd want to use, right? So I think I know what I'd want for my wrestling entrance or my MMA entrance or whatever, right? That's a famous one to come out to because you get all revved up and people recognize it. This is kind of different because it's more just for me to get me revved up.
It has to be from Rocky 3 or 4.
I mean,
it has to. For so many reasons.
It's cliche, but it works, right?
Well, yeah, but we're Rocky fans, so there's an added level.
Probably Burning Heart.
Yeah. If Chris didn't like Rocky, I wouldn't say you got to do Rocky.
Yeah.
No, I don't have a rival whose picture I can reach for in the mirror and then crumple symbolically, so I have to figure that out.
Well, you need to find that's all what I'm saying. Is this is all part of it.
It's just a picture of Dave for no reason.
Yeah. You got to find a rival. You got to make a rival. Maybe call him, threaten him a little bit. Get him to hate you, and then that provides fuel.
Expanding on this, I'm thinking of Chris taking me on as rival, crumpling my picture up, and then randomly calling me at 2:30 in the morning. Dave, you're always in my way. This time you're going down. I'm waking up. What the?
Yeah, that's all perfect, but you suck at disc golf, so you're not a rival at all.
Well, I know, but he needs motivation.
Yeah, I know. So we'll get him an actual rival. First of all, we're gonna give a rival that will talk back and be mean to him.
I mean, yeah, I am bad at that. That's true.
Yeah.
Were the Pokemon rivals ever any good, though?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's easy to forget because it's been about 15 years since one was good, but yeah.
Okay.
Gold Silver's rival was great. He was an absolute asshole, and it was fun to beat the shit out of him because you're a jerk, and I enjoy just beating the hell out of you.
Oh, God, we switched to Pokemon. Okay, I was lost for a second. I get it. Yes, rival. They're in a world championship right now, Dave, in Pokemon. It's the first time the animes have been relevant again in 15 years. And one of his rivals, apparently his strongest rival, is in the tournament. I don't know who that is. I've just read he's the strongest one.
It's Leon. It's fucking stupid.
But I thought Leon was not the rival. Leon's the head of the...
Well, the whole tournament is champions.
Yeah. No. But I read somewhere.
One of his rivals from the Sinnoh region, I think, was in it and got mopped in the first round.
Oh,
so
well, there you go.
They will not be facing each other.
No rematch.
Ash fought Steven in the first round. No spoilers.
Oh.
Steven Stone and his Metagross.
Did he win?
No spoilers.
I didn't know they played yet. He
did, yes. He has to face Cynthia in the semifinals.
So, no spoilers.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because everybody's it's going to be so stupid if Ash wins. It deserves to be Cynthia and Leon. And I'm do we not care about the protagonists anymore? We just want these other people to play it. But I don't know. I don't follow the anime, so maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe it's Orange is the New Black, where the protagonist ended up just getting phased out, and then he stopped caring about the protagonist after a few seasons. So you could go that direction.
I can't believe that's one of the shows you watched.
I
know. All the ones I'm trying to get you to watch.
I have. Are you kidding me? I watched the first maybe season, and I was I'm done.
Okay. All right. Well, that's fair. So video games. I get to run the show this week.
Yep.
This is a disaster.
Because next week is trivia, by the way, to tease that for everybody.
Ooh, that's not even a tease. That's just outright telling you.
Well, yeah, but
it's kind of a tease.
Yeah, it's a tease. It's a trailer. It's a teaser trailer. I don't know. The lines are so blurred now because these days I see a teaser trailer and then I watch a full-on trailer. So I'm like confused on where we're drawing the lines of like what is a thing
or
anymore.
it's like 5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
It's not even like spliced together scenes or moments. It's just here's a 5-minute preview of Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah.
Which was neat.
That was actually got me to see the movie. So that was effective. But
I always love when Paul Rudd used to play that same exact clip every single time on Conan. That stuff got me. Even
also
if it was
good.
the 10th time, I still gets me.
Yeah.
Did you see that he did that recently on Conan's podcast?
Did he really?
Yeah. Now there is a recorded video component, so it wasn't completely a stupid gag, but that was the whole reason it kind of worked. Was like he set it up for about 10 minutes talking about this obscure podcast he was going to do, and it plays the audio from the Mac and Me clip, and Conan's like, "Why did you even do this? It's an audio show."
Because the joke is that good.
I don't know what was funnier, the clip itself or as the joke went on, spending more and more time being like, yeah, you know, I'm with Marvel now. It's that big machine. They don't allow me to do that. And then it still happens.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. Okay. So I've been playing video games. I've been thinking about video games. Dave got me thinking about video games. I'll get to his specific question later. But the first one I was kind of thinking about as I have the VR headset now, the Meta Quest.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking like, I was expecting this to be the biggest leap in gaming that maybe I've ever experienced.
Nope.
And it wasn't, but I'll get more into that later. But it kind of got me thinking like, to you guys, what was the moment or the jump that signified the biggest leap for you? Where you were like, this is a complete game changer. And I threw out a couple examples. Was it the 16 to 32-bit? Was it the fast load times of the PS5? Like, where would you pinpoint, like, this was the biggest leap for me?
One of them was the move to 3D graphics. That was, that's just visually so much different than the 2D graphics. But really, I think the thing that became the flip in video games for me was full-on voice acting being the standard. I mean,
Interesting.
One of the reasons Final Fantasy X for me was one of my favorites was that was the first one that incorporated full voice acting for everything. Now, the lip synchronization is god awful. The voice acting in it is, you can tell it's new because it's so bad.
Ha 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 ha.
You know, it's not. So it has bad moments. I think overall it's not like terrible.
No,
but it definitely
the performances, like you can tell the voice direction is nowhere near what it is now 20 years later, because some performances are pretty good and some are just trash.
Yeah.
But the method I remember hearing that they used was they designed the mouth movements and then had the actors try to follow the mouth movements, which is a horrific idea. Don't do that.
And it's the same problems for like anime in the late 90s too, when it's first starting to get a foothold in America because of like Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon. Like it's the same problem. They're trying to match lip flaps that don't make any sense for our language, and some of the deliveries are really stilted as a result.
Yeah. That's why Aaron was
I just remember, Dave, that's a good one to bring up because the big debate was it was like controversial. Voice acting in Final Fantasy, like what about the 3 dots of like pause that signify so much contemplation? We don't get that anymore. We just get their voices, and that was such a big deal. And now you look back and you're like, if a game doesn't have voice acting half the time, it's like trash.
Yeah. Especially like RPGs, you almost expect every line to be voiced, and that's unreasonable now.
Yeah.
You know, even something huge like Persona has a lot of voiced, but you can't expect millions of lines of dialogue, literally millions.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, that just immersed. It was so much more immersive in the game the whole time. So I think that just changed a lot.
Mario 64 was a mindfuck.
Yeah.
Now there were other people that may have different things they jumped into for 3D, as Dave mentioned before. You know, Halo was one that was pretty early on as well, where I've told the story on the show before about how I just got absolutely wrecked because I had no idea how to move in a 3D space with 2 thumbsticks.
I was at that party with you.
Yeah, I think both of us suffered.
Yes,
but
we did.
Mario 64 in particular, just because it was this really bright, vibrant world, even more than you would expect from a Mario game, to be honest. Like, you know, Mario World's not like a drab game by any means, but you see this beautiful, like, full-blown world of color, and you get to move around in it and control them in the 3 dimensions. Like, that game in particular stands out to me, maybe because of the age I was, too. I mean, I was 13, so that's a really impressionable age. But that's one game in particular, because I think back to this SNES era, and like Now I appreciate a lot of what like a Chrono Trigger did from a story perspective, but it didn't have that impact on me then. I just liked it a lot. F-Zero, if anything, was the game in that generation that really got my interest because of the whatever that thing was, Turbo FX something.
Yeah, yep.
That gave you that
pseudo 3D.
Yeah, so that was like the game then that was that for me. But Mario 64 was just a whole other level.
Well, maybe I should ask like a different generation because it was also like the Z-axis was such a game changer for me. I was like addicted. And I think I've told the story many times, but I was into video games and it was really fun, but it was like borderline like compulsion that I had to find. I would go to friends' houses. I would go to friends of my dad who happened to have a Nintendo 64 and be like, yeah, you guys want to visit, don't you? And then I go into the other room just for like a few moments of Mario 64, which doesn't make any sense. Why would I want to play a game I can't even like maintain a save file? But like just to experience the 3D was like completely blew my mind. And I think what stood out to me is like I was expecting, again, like VR to sort of be that same sensation where I was completely immersed. And to this point, nothing has even come close in being like such a game changer for me.
I mean, the problem with VR is that you can tell the headset's on. Now, there are certain things. I gotta say, I like the VR headset for its ability to play games where you are moving around in a space, and the little like the Beat Saber game I think is actually pretty fun because of how you need to move. The fact of it's all around you, it becomes a 360 type of experience, which I like. But if you want to be fully immersive in something like that, it's like, yeah, it looks like I'm going down a roller coaster or something, for example, but it sure as hell doesn't feel like it. So there's this disconnect between your eyes and your senses.
Yeah, and maybe my expectations were out of whack because at Gary's wedding, his brother works in VR and he was like telling me like, yeah, when you're like flying jets in a VR space, you're going to get so sick, like physically ill because your brain and the disconnect. And I was like getting so jazzed. I didn't experience any sickness, was a little bit disappointed about, but I was also like, oh, like I can definitely like, this isn't like the immersion that I thought it was going to be. Maybe the graphics aren't there yet. Maybe it's because it's still kind of early overall in the VR like space, but I didn't feel like, oh my God, this is like a life-changing thing.
I don't know that it's ever going to be honest.
I'm never going to get that Mario 64 feeling again.
I don't know about never, but like, it's going to take something like a Sword Art Online .hack kind of like actually some kind of sensors that you can hook yourself into the world and not just like a gateway into it via a headset. And who knows how far off that is.
I mean, like Ready Player One had the full bodysuit that you would have that type of pressure.
Or even like a Star Trek holodeck kind of thing. Something like that where you're actually in the world and not just like your head is sort of. And again, that could be 20, 30 years off for all we know. But I think it's going to take
the holodeck's a little farther than that, but
probably, but who knows?
Yeah. So that kind of brings up. So we've had a couple new. I don't know. For the most part, gaming has been pretty standard for most of its lifetime. We've had a couple forays into like the next big thing. I say in air quotes, motion control. Obviously VR, which is a little bit of a component of motion control, and the Kinect was sort of like a bridge to that too. But 3D, like whatever images coming off. What do you think is going to be like the next big thing? Because like VR is kind of catching on, but it's also like sort of not saturated the market like people thought it was going to. So like, what do you think is that next thing for gaming that's going to like push us forward?
That's a tough one. Just like the problem I run into when I think of what's the next thing is that something as simple as moving the graphics from the PS4 to PS5. There are marked differences. There's improvements in what goes on in the background, the processing power, but visually, is it that much of a like whoa? Like PS3 to PS4 was like wow, I see the difference. PS4 to 5 is like I don't know.
PS3 to PS4 though, like you see the difference, but
yeah, I think 2 to 3 was the jump.
Yeah,
it's a jump, but it wasn't like my mind has been completely transformed.
That was enough of a jump where I was at least somewhat taken aback by it. You know, especially like, you know, Xbox to 360 was the same way. And in particular, you know, one of those other tentpole moments was when sports games looked like what I saw on TV. But again, that's not going to happen once more because the steps up in each generation, as you just said, are smaller. Because 2 to 3 was bigger than 3 to 4, which is bigger than 4 to 5. So I don't think it can come graphically. It has to be something from gameplay.
Mhm.
And if it's not VR or some other kind of control, I'm not sure what it is, because one of the other big moments that I think people younger than us would say is the Wii,
Mhm.
because, I'm actually bowling with wiggling this remote. But like VR is sort of attempting to do that as well, like you mentioned, with like the Beat Saber controllers or whatever else you use them for. So I'm not sure what it's going to be unless it is that full immersion. And because that's so far off, I think we're just going to be in a holding pattern for a while.
And that's the hard part, because they tried with the Wii, and everyone, it was kind of the expectations like, man, this is what gaming is going to turn into. And too much it turned into, well, I don't want to have to move this thing around. Well, this thing doesn't respond the way I want to. So it's really difficult. Like, people didn't like the sword movements in, how you had to just hack and slash in Twilight Princess, or how you had to try to like poke and move on Skyward Sword. I enjoyed it, but I can understand people's problems with it.
Video games are also kind of my escape at times, so there are certainly moments where I just want to lay there like a fucking sponge and not do anything except use a controller, which I can do by not moving almost anything except my thumbs. So like, certainly there were times when the Wii came out where I was like, oh hell yeah, like let's play golf, let's do this, and get up and move around and stuff. And there were also times where I'd be like, this isn't really what I want out of this. So even if there was some kind of like fully immersive VR world, there'd be times where I'd be totally in for that, and there'd be times I'd be like, I'm tired. I worked 10 hours today. I don't want to do that right now.
I already have that with VR, where you can have like the thing where you set up a boundary field and you're standing up and you're doing it, and then you can do one where you're just like sitting, and there's just like a base around you, and they're like, yeah, you can do that, but you want it. The experience is standing up, right? I'm like, yeah, but like I'm tired. I just want to sit down and like. I'm playing the climbing game, which is like kind of okay, but I don't want to stand up for that.
I think the Switch does a pretty decent job of that with the motion controls that are in there, because they're not required, but they're also light. Like something on Breath of the Wild, for example, it's like, if you want to move around, you can just move your controllers to look at the camera. It's like, okay, that's subtle. If you shoot the bow and arrow, you can move the controller just a little bit. It's subtle. It's not required to swing across like a golf club or a baseball bat or something like that.
Yeah, right. And then Doug asked, so this is going to be my next point. Half-Life Alyx is supposed to be the pinnacle of VR. And if like this doesn't sell you, nothing's going to sell you. So that's going to be the game I play next. I have it. I just haven't gotten to it yet, because I know it's going to be a whole thing to like set it up and set up the field and like really be into it. So I'm waiting until I really feel it.
And it's a whole undertaking for two reasons. One, the setup and execution, and two, the price point.
Well,
because, it's not cheap because it hasn't proliferated yet. So now it's a problem of like, if you're a parent looking at this for your 12-year-old kid, or you're going to pay $500 for a PS5 you still may not be able to find, and then also another couple $100 to start getting VR, another $70 a piece for each of the regular control. Like, you start to look at a price point that's not really accessible, especially in a tough economy.
And only compounding that is, so if you want to play the new Horizon Dawn VR game and Half-Life Alyx, you would need to buy a PS5, a VR, the PSVR, then separately a VR headset that will run Half-Life Alyx, and a rig that is powerful enough to run it. So even on just those, you're looking at all that money. There's not like one VR headset that will run everything. And so, yeah, it's definitely a barrier of entry.
And to Doug's point, I think like not only would MMOs be the most natural fit, because we've seen Sword Art Online and how popular that was, but just in general, I think it's telling that the big standout superstar from all this is not one of the graphically oriented games or one of the heavy gameplay experiences. It's VR chat. For 3 years, VR chat has stuck out and become easily the most like well-known device out of all that, and the most socially viral out of all that. Because all it is just sitting around dressing up as some weird avatar and doing weird stuff with your friends. Some of them are little games too. Some of them are actually decent, but all of them are like hop in, play a bit, hop out, and don't require that super investment that only the hardcore players can go after.
I'm kind of surprised there hasn't been a Sims VR chat type of MMO. Like, put it under the Sims so you have like, you are the Sims in this instance.
I'm a little surprised about The Sims not really doing anything in general. Like 4 is still getting expansions and whatnot. It's not dead by any means. It's got a player base, but it feels like that could be the next step for Sims 5 is something that brings in VR. So now you are your sim in the world and you can control what's around you and all that stuff. That seems like an easy idea to me, but Lord knows what kind of undertaking that would be from a programming standpoint.
Yeah, we're in such the infancy in VR, Dave, and I don't know if you've seen a VR game. Generally speaking, you are, like first person shooter. Oh, you're just the gun, and we've kind of come a little bit from that. You're just hands in VR, right? And even like, so you have a Darth Vader game. I don't know exactly how they executed it to make it work, or if it works, but I know the issue was like, so you're swinging your lightsaber and you're fighting. And you swing at somebody and they block your hit, let's say, but your lightsaber's still going because you don't have a real world equivalent of that. So then you're still completing the motion, and then it's off from each other, and you're like, how do you do that unless you create a blade that can go through anything? And then from a gameplay perspective, like, how fun is that? Maybe it's really fun, but do you want every game to be like that? Probably not. So the whole thing is complicated until maybe you do start to get some of that tactile feedback. Haptic more than just my PS5 controller, which is great, and I love that.
Yeah, I don't know. Until you get if you don't get the haptic feedback of the blade stopping, you need something that comes up your arm and is like, okay, I'm going to swing the sword. Oh, it's going to stop my arm from moving up here at the shoulder.
Yeah, something like that. Exactly.
And it goes wrong, and it gives you some kind of like seizure, or it like cuts off circulation to your arm. And before you think that's extremely far-fetched, remember one of the headlines this week was that chess robot breaking a kid's finger.
Yeah, I did see
so
that.
Like there's already some roadblocks ahead of us, significant ones, before we're going to really see this stuff work well.
I didn't read the article. I imagine the kid was trying to cheat, and the robot was like, I don't think so, bitch.
The kid moved a little bit too quickly. Like, you're supposed to let the robot complete its move and then wait for it to reset its position. And I guess he already knew what his next move was going to be. So even though it was starting to pull back, he went to, I think, castle. So he went to grab his rook. And the robot, I guess, sensed that as like some kind of illegal activity. And why the programming was then grab the thing, I'm not entirely sure. And neither are the designers, to be clear. That's not just me.
So we have an AI situation.
Great. Now, Terminator.
One of the best things of that whole situation was a quote from, I think, one of the robot's designers, who was like, obviously, breaking a kid's finger is not good. And you're like, thanks, tremendous insight. I'm glad you're working on some of our top-level material. So anyways, the problem with introducing that is, again, the Sword Art Online, etc. dilemma, where it's like, okay, yeah, you want to have something that like tenses up your arm so it can't finish its motion, and then it's going to cause you to like choke yourself instead. So
Exactly.
Great. And then when Darth Vader comes to choke you, you're going to feel it. You're like, wait, no.
Yeah, see,
no, my arm.
But that would be a little bit cool. Like if you feel like a little bit of tension, controlled tension, that'd be fun. And I'm sure there are some sexual deviants who would be more into that even than we would be.
And we have to be very honest, too. The very next threshold for all this is going to be whatever has to do with sex. It's the same reason sex robots are the first robots that are really being pushed further. Like, it's going to have to do with sex. So VR same thing.
Already being used for that.
Yeah, it's already happening.
It has been.
No.
I mean, if VR is just a fancier phone sex, then guess what? We're already on our way because people were doing that decades ago.
Doug, for the love of Christ, it's Alex with a Y. This guy, I didn't get with the program. You know,
fake gamer girl.
Half-Life's been out for like 40 years. So my last topic here, this question has come up. I realized Dave just sucks at video games.
True story.
That's it. I was kind of hoping for more of a. So what brought this on though? Let me just say this.
Let me tell the story of what brought this on, because I know it.
Well, no, but you don't know the extent of it, because I had a realization. So where this all started, my recommendations. This is going to go back to my recommendations and me taking
always does.
So much offense to bad recommendation, and I realized it was a bad recommendation. But here's why. Not because of anything having to do with the game, but because it was a bad recommendation because the game didn't come with an easy mode. And if a game doesn't come with an easy mode, it's too much for Dave. This is the realization that I had.
Yep.
Dave, did you play Persona 5 on easy mode?
The first time at least.
No.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You told me you did. The first time on easy.
Persona 5 Strikers I did.
And then on the second time you ramped it up.
Strikers on easy.
Oh yeah, I mean I did. I told you to play it on easy.
No, I played Strikers on easy. I didn't play the first Persona. I put it in normal.
I don't know if that's true. I think he played it on
easy. But also that's a turn-based RPG that I'm very familiar with of how to function in that world. So
here's what brought it on though. So you didn't like Returnal. Look, Returnal's a hard game. I think you should have stuck with it. You didn't. That's okay. Deathloop because I wish we could have had this on the show. I didn't know what a gold mine it was going to be, or maybe I would have asked to record it. Dave was like, I'm not understanding it. I just want to go guns blazing through the middle of town.
Not what I said. It's why I want to tell the story.
For people who haven't played Deathloop, there's a lot of stealth. Like the whole game is like finding alternate routes, stealthing around enemies. And I'm like, Dave, like there's a window right there. Oh, well, I didn't know I could go off. How am I supposed to go around? And I'm like, well, there's a path like right here, not down the center of town. And he's like, oh, well, it makes sense now. Well, yeah, if you didn't just go first instinct, guns blazing through the thing.
No, first instinct wasn't guns blazing. I tried to take cover. So it's not a cover game as so much either.
No, it's not a shooter. It's like a stealthy sort of first-person adventure.
Yeah.
So the point is, I will acknowledge it was a bad recommendation, but if it doesn't have an easy mode, you just don't want to play. You want to play the game your way. That's what I realize.
I mean, so in some ways, the problem is with the both Returnal and Deathloop, they have similarities in the sense of like, oh, you die and then you have to go back to to this reverse type of thing. It is the most frustrating thing in the world in any video game to play a section of it and then lose that progress through one method or another. So, back in the day, it's like you're playing a game and you couldn't hit a save point and the power went out in your house or your mom turned your video game off or something like that and you didn't hit a save point and you have to redo that whole section. So frustrating, so difficult. We have the same thing on this show where, we lost the show. We're not going to repeat the content because we suck at repeating it. It's frustrating to do that. So playing Returnal, playing Deathloop, where that's the method of the game was to repeat sections. Yes, you're supposed to improve yourself while you do that. I had too many times in Returnal where I'd go through a level, get to the boss, and I'm like, okay, cool, this is going to be the big like checkpoint type of thing, and then I can zoom through this section so I can get to the next section. I died on him 6 times, and then it took me another hour to get back to him.
It shouldn't be taking an hour to get back to him either. That I need to like observe you. I need to like have a study with a glass panel where it's like one-way glass, and I can just watch you play.
It doesn't need to be one-way glass. Just sit next to me.
That works too, I guess. I don't know why I was overcomplicating things. Yeah, it shouldn't be taking you a full hour unless you're going through and getting like every upgrade. And if you're doing that, you should be in a really good position to beat the boss. But I'm gonna have to do some experimentation and see.
No, I don't know. I even tried looking up different like YouTube videos and stuff of how people played, and they're just better than me. I don't know. I've never been good at first-person shooters. I've never liked first-person shooters that much. So
I know, but I wonder if it's because you're stubborn on your like method.
No, I'm just bad at aiming.
No,
really
I think well, maybe you're bad, but it's because you're stubborn. Like you got to learn to adapt. It's adaptive. Like Elden Ring, which I'm never going to recommend because there is no I've learned my lesson now. There's no easy mode. I'm not going to recommend it anymore.
The best part about this is when you said, "Oh, Dave needs to play Returnal." Chris is like, "No, I don't think so." And
well, because he knew that you were stubborn.
I had seen the future,
and I thought you could grow.
Counterpoint.
I had faith in you.
No,
my faith was misplaced.
What if we played Elden Ring in co-op?
Better.
I mean,
is that enough to get Dave into it?
Maybe, unless he's going to complain, because what's going to happen is he's going to be dead for every boss fight.
Pretty much.
So if he's fine watching us kill the bosses, then maybe.
I mean, I did that. Me and my friend Andy went through Halo on insane mode, and our strategy was, all right, I'm going to hang back. You go run in and kill half of them. Then when you die, you'll respawn. Then I'll run in, and then we like switched off. And that's how we beat it on
Because then
insane.
you'd still get the world exploration, which is one of the best things about Elden Ring. I mean, it's a massive, beautiful world. The boss fights are obviously one of the big things for some people, but not everybody. For some people, it's more about just the overall exploration and challenge. So maybe something like that. I mean, I haven't played Elden Ring yet myself, partly because I was kind of waiting to see if I played it in co-op. So is that an avenue we try? Is that the next game for the channel? If we figure out how the hell to do it?
Well, I think so. It's only up to 2, right? They haven't.
Oh, no, it's up to at least 4.
Have they developed an actual co-op mode? Is that what's happened? Because before, you had like an in-game mechanic, use like a summoning ash or something like that, where you could bring somebody into your game.
This is beyond that, but I don't think it's officially from them. I think it's from people who've modded it.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty robust from the videos I've seen.
Okay.
I don't know if it's more than 4, but I know it is 4.
Okay. So you probably have like a host world.
I think so.
But then you're
and
all
everybody
in
else
it.
is kind of in it and can influence it and all that
God,
jazz.
How would you would? Yeah. Okay.
I mean, there are some foibles for sure. It's not like a perfect experience. I mean, did we talk about the Skyrim mod on here? I don't remember.
A little bit.
Yeah, so it's kind of the same idea where it's like this is a single player game that's already has such a massive scope that it already has some bugs and other issues that can get you stuck, and now you bring 4 people in when it wasn't intended, and it becomes a bigger issue. But from what I've seen, most people are having a lot of fun with it, and occasionally, like a trap hits you out of nowhere because somebody else already sprung it and you didn't know that, and the game freaks out and you get hit by it too. But like, it's Elden Ring, so you're kind of going in expecting to die anyways, you know? So
Yeah.
as long as you don't mind that, some people would get frustrated by that. I get it, but I think that stuff's funny usually. So like, I don't mind, especially when with 4 of you, as long as somebody's still alive, it's not like, oh, you died, so you have to start all over or something, you know?
I mean, God, if I get beat up by myself, you would hope I could beat it with Dave. Maybe you just drag me down, though.
Probably. I mean,
It's no fun. You gotta have like a fucking spine, man. You gotta be like, you gotta fight back.
here's the question I have for you, Sean. This is a deep psychological dive. Are you okay not liking something that everyone else likes?
Am I okay? Not. No. Wait. Do you mean the opposite?
No. Are you okay if there is something out there that everyone seems to love and you don't like it?
Yeah. I'm trying to think of an example. I can't think of a specific example. It'll happen with movies where a movie it's super critically acclaimed and I watch it and I'm like, I guess I can see critically like why that was good. I hated every second of that.
Scrubs.
Scrubs is a great example. Never resonated with me. Didn't like it.
That's not universally loved, but I think it's a decent example.
Hell, Horizon 2 right now I'm experiencing where I'm like, this is okay.
Unfortunately, I think that's more common than.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that experience has been. I wouldn't say it's the majority, but I think a lot of people are like, man, there's just something that's not clicking for me like the first one did.
Okay.
This comes back to our discussion that we've had. This is twice in the show before about good being objective versus subjective, because there are so many where it's like you got to expand your horizon, you got to do this, and I feel that when you give it a good shot and it's just like, nope, I don't enjoy it, then that's okay.
Yeah, to a degree, but like, so I'll go back to like Deathloop is like, if I watched a movie if I watched Scrubs, you guys were like, I really want you to watch Scrubs, I really want you to give it a chance, and I watched it, but I was like texting the whole time, or I was like watching it, but like, cats were clawing at me during the whole thing. It's like I'm not in a position where I can really experience it fully, or the way that it was supposed to be. So
Yeah.
I would relate that to the way you play Deathloop.
Why?
The way you play Deathloop is as though I'm watching a show and cats are clawing me to death. That's the metaphor. That's what I saw. And and it was funny as a metaphor because as I was watching you, it was as though cats were clawing my eyes out. So I really brought it full circle.
You've had a lot of insults to me on this show.
Is this the worst one so far?
I mean, Jesus, I don't know how much worse you can get. Like, not only, Dave, are you horrible at this game, it physically made me ill to watch
for me
you play.
to even watch. Yeah.
And no, Doug, in the chat, no, I really didn't play in the arcade much when I was a kid. Like, I watched Chris play, like, Street Fighter and, Marvel vs. Capcom. I just sat there like, how the fuck are you doing this?
Well, Doug beat me to a joke is like when you were bringing up, like, could you imagine playing a game? And I thought it was where you were going, but you didn't. Because it was like, I was thinking, yeah, like all the games I played growing up is like you die, you start over. That was the experience for the most part.
And then yes, like playing a game like Mario or even Mario or Sonic or something like that back in the day, that was the exploration. But it was so compact. It was so okay. I know how to beat this level now. So if I want to, I can zoom through this level in 15 seconds if I want to because I know the path. So you had the ability to explore. Like Sonic 3 for me is one of my favorite games for that reason. You can explore. These levels are huge, or you can just go right through it in 10 seconds if you want. So there's both sides of it, which is what's enjoyable about it.
There's a joy you're not experiencing yet with the roguelike. I don't know if you're ever going to get there.
No, I'm not. I will tell you I won't. It's not dying repeatedly and doing the same thing over repeatedly to get better is like just stabbing me in the head.
I know, but like, so a really good example of this is 20XX, I think, and Chris, you played it too, where you're going through a run and you'll get some kind of random power up that maybe you've never used, or it's very unique, and it completely, you're like, oh, now my run has changed. Now I have to adapt. But you've like talked about this. You don't want to be in a position, and I don't even mean this as an insult, because you've said it. You don't want to have to adapt. And it's like with Across the Obelisk, like if you have a strategy with your cards, but then the enemy counters it, you're like, well, that's it. Like, I'm done. I can't like adapt to the counter strategy.
It involves a level, sometimes maybe a level of depth of thought that I don't always care to put into a game, which is why I like story-driven games so much, because I get to enjoy the story behind it. But also, Sean, you're the type that wanted to go after every single achievement on a game because it made you feel better to merely have the achievement. Merely beating a game for me isn't like, wow, okay, cool, I beat the game. Like, it's not like wow, I can't believe I did that. It doesn't give me that feeling because I accomplished it.
Of course it doesn't. You play games on easy. Where would you get the sense of accomplishment?
Even there's not been a game that I've been able to feel that way about.
Well, and that's the thing is, like, on games, Horizon 2, let's just keep making this the punching bag. I'm playing it on easy, and I have like all the like, and I don't know if I feel bad about this, I shouldn't, but there's like accessibility options that make it accessible for everybody. And I like turn all those up too, because I'm like, I don't care about this game. I want to get through it as quick as possible. So like those achievements, which I'm leaving a lot on the table, I'm sure, like I don't care about. But on something like Elden Ring or Mass Effect, Sekiro, I want to get and it's like that extra challenge is there, and I want to accomplish it because then I triumph, and I like that.
Too often, what happens is I've gotten to that point of, hey, man, I did it. Now what? And the reward just isn't there at the end. It's like, man, I struggled and slogged through this. And the reward is just not that rewarding. Well, I don't know.
But I don't see it as a reward, and this is great. I love this conversation, by the way. This is not derailed. This is exactly what I wanted. That is the reward, and that's it. It's just
so
that sense that you did. But I would say when you play basketball and you win in like a sports competition, yeah, it's the same idea as you've won and now what, but you find that more satisfying.
But because I enjoy the process more. That's the difference, is that in many things, like a roguelike, for example, or, let's take Returnal, for example, the satisfaction of unlocking a new area or of getting a new power up and getting to a new area is so much less than the anger of dying. So it's like gambling on sports is that way. I don't gamble on sports that often, mostly because the enjoyment of winning is so much less than the disappointment of losing. And so it's like, why? Why would I do this? I don't care about winning that much, and losing sucks. So why would I do this? And I don't do it that frequently.
So it turns out you're so emotional. So Chris, you're kind of in the middle, I think, where you get what I'm saying, and maybe it doesn't drive you quite as much, but like, you get a sense of accomplishment when you play a tough game and you win.
Sure.
Yeah. So I want you not weighing in necessarily to saying who's right or who's wrong, but just like, what's your opinion?
But no, be the arbiter. It's fine.
Well, I mean, I can be the arbiter. Both of you are wrong. That was easy.
I don't want an arbiter. I just want your opinion.
Because I mean, it's different things for different people. If they're not going to have universal takeaways from this, so if for Dave the challenge of beating the game isn't that exciting for him, then he's never going to see this thing the same way you do.
I know, but that's not my point. I don't want him to see it the same way. But like with Deathloop, if you weren't going to change the way you were going to play, just tell me. And we probably didn't need to even go through the thing. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to give it a shot, give it a shot in going forward in the future. And if you don't want to change it, then let's not even do the facade.
But I'll say on Deathloop that was ignorance more than anything, because I didn't realize that was something that was even available.
To Dave's credit, he tried to play that even though he hasn't played games like that because you recommended it. So you should be praising him for this instead of shunning him from ever listening to your recommendations again. Because even though I warned you that this would happen months ago, because I know Dave. I'm not saying you don't. We're all super close. I'm just saying I've known Dave for more than half my life now. And I was like, I just don't think this is going to be the right fit.
Look,
because to ask him to change the way he plays is to change who he is. That's why I could see Dave liking like Skyrim, because you can take different approaches to that, and if you want to just be Unga Bunga sword melee guy, you can do that, and you can build that type of character to help support that play style. Or if you want to be sneaky archer type, you can do that. You can't do that so much in Returnal. You can't really do it in Deathloop either.
Not at first, no.
Yeah.
Even maybe like I guess BioShock does a good job of splitting the difference a little bit, or maybe Dishonored. There's at least a little bit of differentiation in play style to where you can kind of get through it no matter how you like it.
Well, and they have modes too, which helps.
Yeah, so I think that I could see Dave like it. Like I don't know if I'd recommend Dishonored to Dave, but I could maybe see him taking to it because of the abilities you have to kind of buttress certain skills and lean towards a play style. If it doesn't have that, I'm not sure it's going to click.
Here's a great example. When Chris and I were 15, maybe 16, maybe, Chris brought over his N64 with Ocarina of Time and said, "Here, play this," and helped me through the game. I'd never played a 3D game like that. I played Zelda before. I played the original Zelda and I loved it, but I had never played a 3D game. I didn't know how to do the Z targeting. That was completely mind-blowing foreign to me. Had Chris not been there to help me out, like, oh, hey, no, you need to go over here because this thing is where unlocks next thing, because I hadn't really gone through this type of puzzle-solving game very much before. That was a great introduction into there because I had someone kind of helping. So, Sean, yes, if you were sitting next to me in Deathloop and watching me play with cats clawing your eyes out, but were able to be like, hey, have you taken a look over here, or have you like, that is actually what would help enjoy the game more, because instead of running my head into a brick wall, I feel like there's a solution.
Returnal actually has a co-op mode now. And that is one, because I got confused when you said Elden Ring. I was like, oh, and I was like, oh, no, wait, I forgot. Where it's officially like built-in co-op.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Maybe as the last-ditch effort, we could try it. Maybe that boat has sailed, but that could be something where not only am I there telling you what to do, I can actually be there showing you, and we could do it together. Maybe you're too far gone.
Maybe it's just at a point where I'm almost 40 and I like games, but if a game is, I'm not going to spend my time on a game that doesn't grab me.
Well, I mean, sure. So, I don't think that was the point. I don't think I was saying continue to play a game that you hate.
But I did give Returnal a real try. Like, I really
I feel like you gave Returnal more of a try than Deathloop.
So far, yes.
Yeah.
And I feel you're going to just chastise me for this completely, but Knights of the Old Republic was on sale on the Switch, and it's really fun, and I loved it, and so I'm going through that again.
You know, I went through. I mean, I'm not chastise you that much. I tried to go through it again recently, and I was like, man, I love this game at first, and playing it now doesn't detract from how much I loved it before. It is harder to get through now, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, you have the detailed and interweaving storylines that we've run into in today's gaming, and then you go to Knights of the Old Republic and it's like, please help me, I need 50 credits to get off this planet. Here's 500 credits. Oh, here's your 50 credits. Die and I'll take your 10 credits.
Yeah,
like, that's your
very
option.
Very black and white, which I don't even mind that, because I think that's funny. It's like, help this old woman or like throw her off the bridge. It's
just
very stark.
Right off.
Like the way Mass Effect did it, much better, where it's like shades of gray. But I'm just like gameplay, and like it's like, oh, I don't remember that beginning part taking so basically until you get your lightsaber, it's like an eternity, and I don't remember it being an eternity.
Yeah,
but it is. It's forever. I'm like, I really just want my crystals, I want my colors, and then I'm good.
Yep, it's a good 6-7 hours at least.
You know, that just speaks to me in Star Wars, though. Everybody's clamoring for like, I just want a Star Wars story where it's like, it's not like the space magic, it's not the lightsaber. And I'm like, no, that's like not the Star Wars I care about at all.
I want the Force. I want lightsabers. That's what I come to
truly. And like, I'm going through the Clone Wars right now, the cartoon, and any episode where there's no Force, no like lights, I'm like, I'm skipping.
Yeah, and any episode they have with Padme and Jar Jar, I'm like, nope,
done.
Moving on.
Skipped. And you know, the clones seem really cool. But I'm like, no, I'm skipping those two. Yep. Mandalorian is the only exception. And even that has found a way to bring in some of the space magic and whatever. But I think Mandalorian's cool. Yeah. But that's where I draw the line, Mandalorian. It's boring. It's just the bounty hunters, and it kills me when the bounty hunters with their stupid lasers like take down a Jedi. I'm like, no, there's no way. That's not possible.
No, we've seen the Jedi block thousands of blaster beams. Can't happen.
Yeah. And they're like masters of hand-to-hand combat, and you're like, no, this is just, and that's why I hate why. It's like when we watch Dragon Ball Z, Chris, and like Goku loses to like a guy, like a farmer. And you're like, how does this happen?
Yeah.
Oh, he's just fooling around. No, that's just like an excuse you've used to like up the tension when there shouldn't be any here.
Or the classic Pokemon example to go full circle in the episode.
Yeah.
Why like Ash has been to 9 regions and has 11,000 Pokemon in his little private home in Professor Oak's backyard. How does he lose to this trainer who's fighting the first battle of their career?
I don't. Arrow, he beat Raz Al Ghul, who's the greatest hand-to-hand, and he's like 1,000-year-old dude. And then he loses like some thug. And you're like, no, this cannot happen. This is bad writing.
The only time that can work is an example of like God of War, when it's like, this is Kratos, he's gonna murder somebody. Who's this shirtless bearded guy? And then he beats the shit out of you because he's the son of a god.
Another god. So. And you could even argue like Kratos is a little rusty, maybe too.
Yeah. So that works in that sense because there's a bigger story behind it.
Or the grizzled veteran, an Unforgiven, like a Clint Eastwood, like the old gunslinger who's showing his age, but if you push him, he's still got it in there somewhere. But run of the mill day, he's not just gonna be like sharpshooting shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then like when a hero is confronted with another really talented, like that's fine. Of course when the purple dude, I forget his fucking name, in Dragon Ball Super comes through and like he beats Goku. I'm like, well, yeah, this guy's really crazy good. He's not some low level, like can't even go Super Saiyan beating Goku. Stupid. Nothing gets my goat, Dave. Like that. I think more than anything, people losing in fights in fiction that they should not lose to.
Yeah, it makes total sense. I mean, even Revenge of the Sith, which I like that movie a lot. Like when Palpatine killed 3 Jedi, like boom, boom, boom. It's like, dude, these are Jedi. I know you're supposed to be a powerful Sith, but like they went down like bitches.
Obi-Wan going down like a bitch at the beginning of that movie is another example. Anytime Obi-Wan goes down in Clone Wars, I'm like, no.
Yeah. No,
they're like fighting 2-on-1 and Obi-Wan gets punched and he's out.
Even Mace Windu. I mean, when you look at some of the expanded universe with Mace Windu, he's supposed to be like one of the most adept Jedi that we've ever seen. And maybe it's just because of how much was crammed into that movie, but he gets dispatched pretty quickly too.
Yeah.
It's never been worse than The Flash. Oh my God. The Flash TV show. Don't give me he like gets punched.
No. He got himself started.
He dodges fucking bullets, but he will get punched sometimes. How does that happen? I saw one episode he froze time for an hour. And yet, how? And it's because it's like, well, it's the plot. Like, he has to. I'm like, yeah, that's bad writing. Then you guys should have figured something out because that's not doing it.
Even Dragon Ball Z addressed that with the whole, like, Krillin hitting Goku with a rock thing, where it's like, oh, it can happen sometimes when your guard is down. If you're not expecting it, if your senses aren't honed like they normally would be, and that show has terrible writing sometimes, but even they took the time to be like, yeah, like he shuts a rocket at him because he's like, oh, Goku will dodge that, or it won't even hurt him. He's taking on like galaxies at this point, and it hits him. He's like, because he wasn't ready.
Well, what about when he's in Super and he's totally powered up and a laser like almost kills him, like a gun?
We don't talk about Super.
Well, okay, but that movie was good, except for.
The movie saw it, and there's a couple good arcs in there. It's also a lot of filler trash.
It's a lot of filler trash.
Dragon Ball.
Maybe that's why I just love One Punch Man. Is inexplicably the guy doesn't lose ever. Have you heard of this anime, Dave?
I have.
Have I told you about this anime? Is that how you've heard of it?
I've heard it from 2 sources. You being one of them.
It is one of my. You should probably watch it because it's like a It's pretty funny. It's not just supposed to be like serious drama.
Is he the here's my workout regimen. I do 100 push-ups and run 1 kilometer per day.
Mm-hmm.
Delivered with absolute sincerity. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And his protege is like, well, if you're not going to take this seriously, then forget you. And he's like, what do you mean? That's really what I do.
Yeah. It works because it's a parody of everything else that preceded it, basically.
Yeah. It's wonderful. You should watch it. It's like it's so good.
Yeah.
Well, I'll have to save my Marvel hot takes.
Yeah, we didn't get to it. Actually, but it makes me happy that you have hot takes because I was concerned you guys wouldn't care about my next topic that we'll get to now in 2 weeks.
Don't.
Yeah, but you'll still have something to say. But if you don't care and Chris didn't care, then it would just be me talking for an hour, which I've done before, but it's not my favorite.
Nobody wants that.
I do care, so we'll see if that's still what comes up. I'm hoping we'll have Kevin Durant by 2 weeks from now.
I know, that'd be great.
That August 4th deadline is coming up, so I'm hoping that perhaps by the time that episode would be on in 2 weeks, that maybe he'll be a Phoenix Sun. Or the saga will be over, one way or the other.
Wait, you know what? So in 1 week, we're doing the trivia.
Yeah.
The next week, I'll be in Seattle.
Sleepless.
Yes. I shall be doing a race. And then I'm staying through the next Tuesday. I might be out for 2 weeks.
Oh my God.
Dang.
Commitment to the show, Sean.
Then by that point, Marvel won't be relevant anymore. I'm just kidding. The phase is ongoing, so I'm sure we can pop it at any time. But
yeah. Maybe I'll be, but we'll see.
It's a good thing we're doing trivia next week then. Otherwise, it would be a while.
Yeah. All right.
So that is the plan for next week. Trivia night is back. 4 brand new games. 1 brand new contestant. Dave, defending champion. The final round has a couple small tweaks, but for the most part, the show is pretty similar. I've only changed a couple small things. And again, new games to try out. We'll see what works and what doesn't. I've already tweaked one of the ones from the first time. So I think it's going to end up being more and more of a type product. And you should join us next week. I will have a different suit on.
You and Cody are so good at trivia. I'm going to be smoked. It's going to be bad.
That always gets me. You're a smart guy. You have a lot of... You're well-read. And you suck at trivia.
It's going to be well, because what happened, even so I'll be watching a movie and I will think of the actor's name and then somebody will ask me, who's that actor? And it's like, oh God. And the pressure's mind goes blank. I was like, I just had it. I don't know anymore. It's gone. So this is good. Trivia on the show is good. I'm trying to work through that in front of millions of viewers.
I really can't wait. I'm going to readapt my You Don't Know Jack persona for next week, I think.
Well, you got to win for that to happen.
Yeah, I know that. That's what happened last time.
I mean, that's true. But I'm saying you got to win again. We'll see.
I would be unexcited about that, but I'm so busy running everything that I'm barely going to notice anyways.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, Dave's saying a thing again. Whatever. What button am I pushing on this control panel? Okay, cool.
Are we all wearing suits? Is it this what's happening now?
I don't give a shit.
Audience, tell me if we should all wear suits.
I'll wear something.
I regretted it last time. I don't know if I'm going to keep up the bit. It's warm up here, especially when there's going to be another person in the studio.
Yeah.
I'm very glad that you're going to wear something, Sean.
I'll wear a hat.
That's it.
Well, I mean, I just a hat, but that'll be like my contribution.
Great. A fedora.
Like a sports hat. Like, really, don't expect much, I guess is kind of what I'm saying. But I will wear a hat. No, not a top hat, just a regular hat.
Maisie says yes, so...
To the hat.
No, to the suit.
To the birthday suit.
Yes, with the hat. Birthday suit with a hat.
Perfect.
Got it.
I'm excited for us to get taken off of YouTube in the first 30 seconds of the episode. Because we're violating community guidelines.
To be fair, it's, this up, so we'll be fine.
Yeah, as guys, we can do whatever we want with stupid double standard, but...
I know.
Yeah, why don't we do a hot tub episode?
That's right.
That's all the rage. Or actually, it was. I think we missed that phase.
We kind of missed the meta, but...
Was that?
We could do it. It'd be easy to set up.
We'll bring back the meta of doing a hot tub thing that no one cares about. And it'll be all the rage, except it won't because nobody cares.
As long as it's a time machine.
So, next week, trivia. Make sure you tune in. And you can, if you're listening to the podcast, this is a good one to be at live. You can participate and play along at home. It's kind of the best versions of the show that we do. The 100th episodes ones were kind of similar too. Play along with the music guesting stuff. Whatever. Join us next week, usual time. Then after that, who knows what we're going to do? Who knows how long Sean's in Seattle? But next week is trivia. In between episodes, you can find us at our website, objectionnetwork.com or youtube.com/objectionnetwork. There's going to be new videos, I promise. We're recording some tonight, I promise. Please, I'm choking you, please.
It's like, what?
We'll see you next time.
Get them to stick around.
It's going to work.